Yes, a very Yes, a very beautiful morning, and of course, another edition of Political Perspective on your darling station, IPA 102.7 FM. Yes, a beautiful morning out there, and of course, welcome to another mind blowing edition of Political Perspective on your darling station, IPA 102.7 FM, a program designed to give an in depth insight of what is happening in politics today, how it affects us as individuals, members of society, the government, and everything beyond it. And of course, my name is Florence Ibhareman, and in the programs in the studios this beautiful morning, I have with me Akin Adebayo. Good morning, Akin Adebayo.
Good morning this morning. Thanks for having me on the program today.
And how is the economy treating you?
Well, I'm a Nigerian.
Okay.
And I'm not an AI, so I'm live here in Nigeria.
Okay.
So the economy is not smiling at all. At the moment, it's not smiling at all.
I think that is why we'll be diving straight into what we have today, because if you'd agree with me, over time, for this past 1-2 weeks now, we've been having the issue of rise in fuel price and the cost of living on the citizens of Nigeria and every other places. But today we're looking at the rising fuel cost and how we as citizens have been able to cope around it, the cushion effect the government should have in place on how they're supposed to manage us and how we're supposed to manage the economy. So yes, fuel prices have gone up again, and this affects everybody. Even Akin said, of course, he has his own effects on him. So from the cost of transportation to price of food in the market, today we want to look into it holistically, not just because the prices are rising, but because we need to know how the government can cushion citizens and what practical step we need to take as regards the sudden change in our economy. So today we'll be looking at the rising fuel cost and how we as citizens can manage and survive in today's economy. And for those wondering why we're talking about fuel price today, you would agree with me that every slight change in the price of fuel would have a very great adverse effect on the price of things in the market, and it can even go from 5 to 10%. So which is why we need to talk about it, because every Nigerian today has just one thing on their lips, which is things are expensive and we need to look into it the way it should be, looked into. So yes, of course we'll be looking at the price, fuel price and all of that. Now Akin, what would you say causes fuel price hike? The subsidy removal, the global oil prices, the inflation, what are the causes?
Thank you very, very much. Number one, when we talk about the issue of fuel price, as it is now, is a global issue. But of course, let us really go into the issue of subsidy, why it was removed initially. Now, before now, there was nothing like subsidy, if I'm not mistaken, in the 80s and thereabout. But in the 90s, subsidy started coming up. How did we get to the issue of subsidy? I think it was during the era of Franco Kori, then during the Pengam chairman, and Abacha era. There was this advocacy that, okay, we don't want military rule, we want democracy, we want to return back to democracy and stuff like that. And Peng then was a very strong and formidable body So then before Jack Robinson, they seal up the, I mean, refineries. Is it Port Harcourt refinery? Is it the Warri? Is it the Kaduna refinery? Or what have you? You know, they make sure that they seal it up. And from there, Abacha now trying to prove that, look, if you like, seal up the refinery account. That was how they now encourage importation of fuel. And you know, the very minute the fuel was imported, it was now subsidized. And you know, in Nigeria, we tend to like predate on anything that seems to be bringing in extra money into our pocket. And I must equally say this, you know, free money is far more easier to spend than your hard-earned money. And we should not deceive ourselves. Subsidy has actually put money in so many people's pocket. Subsidy had made many people that do not even think they can become millionaires to become billionaires due to, I mean, the subsidy that was being paid on it. And it goes on and on and on like that before it now becomes a monster. It now becomes a beast in the Nigerian economy. It now becomes I mean, it now ate so deep into the finance of the country to the extent that it got to a stage in this country that the entire budget for the year goes into subsidy. For crying out loud, what are they subsidizing? Imported fuel. And first, Jack Robinson, all the four refineries stopped working. Of course, some presidents, like during the era of Jonathan, I read about, and I know it was not pronounced during the era of during the government of Buhari, that okay, they are going to revamp the refinery, this one, that one, stuff like that. The first Jack Robinson, some civil situations went as far as covering how the operation of the refinery. But immediately Buhari left. Before you know what was going on, when the Juliari came on board again, now the GMD, during Mele Kyari era, that was when they said the refinery was working. But immediately Buhari left with Mele Kyari as the GMD of NNPC, and the Juliari came on board with Bola Tinubu as the president. We now discovered that it was not working, that it was the former petroleum product that had been produced, or should I say that was imported, that they were distributing then as at the time that some media stations went there to actually cover that yes, the NNPC is now producing petroleum products. It was the imported one that are still remain, that are still in their their tanks that they were given they were using to fill petrol tankers. NNPC never produced anything, and unfortunately, this is an agency. Let me put it that way. That is taking the workers there. They are receiving salary, doing what? Only God knows what. Just pumping crude oil, and you know, it got to a stage now that it became so monstrous that you just had to start allocating virtually the entire budget for it. And as God will now have it, Dangote now came on board. Thank God for Dangote refinery at the moment. It could have been terribly terrible. I deliberately used that to qualify how things would have gone if Dangote was not operational. How would we have been able to manage it now? But then before I go into that fully, so that was how subsidy came on board. It started during the Abacha era. It became now more pronounced in even the civilian era. But the three aspirants that contested the 2023 general election, the major aspirants in person of the present President Bola Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi, all said that they will remove subsidy. I remember Peter Obi saying that it will not even last 24 hours. But unfortunately, it has been denied. That is left to him anyway. That's his own opinion. But they all agreed on one thing, that subsidy must go. But the president now, during his inauguration, right there before the glare of everybody, said subsidy is gone. Personally, I condemn that statement. You know the kind of people you are dealing with. These people, they become monsters on the Nigerian economy. They are predators. You shouldn't have gone on here to make such announcement. My personal opinion anyway. Because these are people that you know the implication. I'm first Jack Robinson. The petrol that was bought for maybe around 180 in the morning, all of a sudden became 500 in the evening. From 180 to 500 in the evening. And that is how the use of Poland started. Like I said, he could have clandestinely handled that matter. How do I mean? The president should have exercised patience, assume that office first, look into the files, and try to investigate what's actually going on. Okay, you can be paying the money skeleted to some set of persons. You may not give the entire importers. Give this group today, give that group tomorrow, and stuff like that. Give them hope. In the course of you paying the money, in batches, there will be hope. In the course of doing that, you will get to know what is actually going on, and not for you to have announced it right there before everybody during your inauguration. Anyway, the president later confessed that is current Minister of Finance in person of Wale Edu and some of the economic advisors told him that President Anikema Kakini, but said he was resolute. He even said that it wasn't part of his speech that day, but he just thought that he should just announce this thing, and the president announced it. And here we are.
Okay, now if you want to look at the short-term effect it has on household, talking about transportation, feeding, business, and cost, what would you say?
Well, before we go into that, let us now discuss what actually leading to the present scarcity and increment in the pump price. Because when the subsidy was actually removed, the price went up. Therefore, it started coming down. And importers that have been importing fuel, there is no how they want to agree with Dangote only being the producer or supplier of petrol. Dangote now went as far as importing CNG trucks that will be the one supplying some filling stations that are actually interested. But it is not easy for you to just a baby that is sucking feeding bottle. You now put the bottle, it will become problem. And when that corruption was being fought, they actually fought back. Dangote himself went as far as saying that the cabal in the petroleum sector is even worse than the one in the drug sector. He got to say, Dangote said he wanted to sell his refinery because he was suddenly frustrated. He said he never knew that the problem is this mammoth. But he said he's a fighter, that is a drug fighter, and he continued fighting on. And he actually fought on to the extent that the NMPD-RCMD was removed. And Dangote presented evidence against him, but the case was tried to court, but in Nigerian system, it was equally settled out of court. But what is happening presently now? Because, like I said, Dangote has actually fought these cabals, these independent marketers, to a standstill that they have no choice and to be bringing down their own pump price as well. But what now happened recently is the war. It's not the crisis. It's the war between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. Now there's a particular strait, a particular ocean, about 31 kilometers, called the Strait of Hormuz. And this ocean is directly along the axis of the Iranians, and there is virtually all the nation passes through that. It's kind of nexus. It connects virtually the whole world together. And like I said, it would have even been more easier if, for instance, Dangote is able to be given the crude oil he actually requires in Nigeria. But unfortunately, virtually all the crude oil has been used to borrow money from international organizations, right from Jonathan era down to Buhari. But the president also said that he's not using our resources to borrow money. Good. But he's equally borrowing money in one way or the other. So Dangote is not even being given enough crude to refine. So it's a major problem. So we simply mean that if we had not used our crude oil to borrow money, by now, that with the crude oil reserve we are having, and if Dangote is being pumped very, very well, if he's being given enough crude oil, by now we shouldn't be having this problem. But unfortunately, everything has been sold out. Dangote said he's only being given 20% out of 100% crude oil he needs to actually produce petroleum product from his refinery. So which means that Dangote is equally going to all those areas, to either Iran, to maybe to Venezuela, to case maybe to get crude. And now that Strait of Hormuz has been blocked, what will he do? So he's equally just trying to get oil, crude oil from other sectors as well. So that's why we are where we are. Now, the major problem now is that Strait of Hormuz that has been blocked by Iran because no ship dare pass through that area. Trump, that initiated this crisis, actually threatened is going to clear the Strait of Hormuz and what have you. He is there to clear it now, and here we are. And this issue is not just it's not just Nigeria alone. It's a global issue. There are crimes in America. There are protests in UK and America. Do you know that now that some African countries are not coming to Lagos to buy from Dangote? They are not coming now straight off Lagos. We have Strait of Hormuz in Iran. We now have Strait of Lagos here in Nigeria, because of Dangote. So it's still better because had it been Dangote is not operational, and by now we would have been buying that for nothing less than 2,500 or 3,000 naira. So we just be praying that God shall put the Dangote refinery, and only God know how he is sourcing his crude. That God should not block the source of his crude, because if anything should happen there, it's going to be worse than this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that clear insight and explanation. Now, looking at the short-term effect it has on transport, on business, on feeding. Now, how would you expect citizens to actually react to this as regards standard of living?
Well, I think if citizens begin to react I mean, via one means or the other. Okay. You cannot blame them. Because I myself, I know the amount I've spent on transportation when this problem started. Before I came down here, a guy was lamenting heavily. You know, and I can assure you, virtually everybody are feeling the heat. So, but of course, some countries are beginning to put in place some cushion effects. And you know, in Nigeria, the very minute anything affects our source of petroleum products, particularly that petrol, that demon, I call it demon, that demon called petrol, by the time anything happens to you, if it's just one error, before they are promising, it has a ripple effect on transportation, on feeding, on it even has a triple effect back in the house between the husband and wife. Because the husband that used to drop maybe like 5,000 naira for a pot of soup before, his wife natted in Kotigbo Lori. So I racked everybody. I watched a kind of a skit where they were saying, maybe it was a skit or maybe it was you, I wouldn't know. I racked everybody. You know, people are hot, people are charged. But of course, I want to believe that the government by now should be thinking of a way of bringing about a cushion effect on the populace. It shouldn't just leave us like this. So it's taking a terrible toll on all sectors. I mean, when I say all sectors. So I think it is high time the government begin to look inward on how to bring about cushioning the effect on our citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Looking at talking about the government looking into it and creating a short-term or long-term cushion effect. Now, would you say targeted fuel to be subsidized for low-income householders, that they should have a way of, if they know that you are in the middle lower class, your kind of the effect on you should not be as much as those in the upper classes. Can that work?
Well, when we are talking about cushion effect, it should be general.
Okay.
If you say you want to target low income household, you'll be amazed that a multi-billionaire will now categorize itself as a low income household. Okay. That is the system found itself in Nigeria. But how can the government handle this matter more appropriately? To me, I think it is high time the government think of bringing about subsidy. Okay. Now, the subsidy may not be in terms of maybe fuel, as the case may be, maybe in terms of transportation. How do I mean? Now, I think it is high time now the government needs to encourage more people now to go. Maybe they have to reduce the price on converted. Even it's not a problem itself because the CNG, compressed natural gas, everything has been, the largest gas plant in the world in Israel has been blown off. So this is going to take a terrible effect. It's going to have a terrible effect on the populace. So to me, I think what the government should do now is maybe they need to go into partnership with Dangote. How do I mean? Now, at least to a large extent, the government can now say that, okay, the petroleum product we are consuming is not up to what they've been paid for in the past. Because it was actually discovered that majority of the petroleum product that was being imported then was a ruse. We are not consuming up to the said amount then that the government said we are consuming. So to me, and of course, during that era of subsidy, do you realize that we've seen instances whereby these so-called importers will bring in empty vessel on the sea and it will be subsidized. They pay for the content and the subsidy. Empty. We've seen an instance whereby one is even having water. After the whole thing, these things will be shipped to neighboring countries, Benin, Togo, and what have you. In fact, they are crying heavily there now. Those areas. So, but now that Dangote is now, like I've always said, you cannot subsidize imported products. We should not deceive ourselves. But you can subsidize locally produced products. That is me. Now Dangote now, of course, there's some situation that Dangote is actually supplying petroleum products to, which it takes to them by himself through his CNG trucks. So I want to believe that by now, the government should be able to now know the number of companies or affiliations that Dangote is actually supplying to, the quantity, and of course NNPCL, because NNPC is not producing petrol or petroleum products. So alongside NNPC as well, jettisoning those independent market, because I can assure you, any attempt for government to say that they want to subsidize for the entire filling station, I can assure you, that is where you now see filling stations that have been moribund for years, now selling for, because it will be diverted. It will be diverted. So let the government try to identify the various NNPC filling stations, genuine one, not the one that is maybe integrated under NNPC. You understand? Genuine NNPC filling station. And now welcome to Dangote. Okay, let us know the filling station that you are actually supplying petroleum products to directly. Because as you speak now, some stations are selling for 1,400, some 1,450. Some of the stations that Dangote is supplying to, which I bought from yesterday, still sells for 1,341 naira. I can't mention the names here. Do you understand? So if that is the case, then, and moreover, do you know that Dangote products is even far better off than the so-called imported ones? Because when he was having issue then with independent marketers then, and maybe Nupeng and Pengasin, as the case may be, because they had issues on the issue of staffs. When he discovered sabotage, look, this country is such a country that if you want to administer this country, if you are not audacious, I can assure you may not be successful. That man to be first. He now discovered sabotage in his company. He sent them off. And unfortunately, Jack Robinson, Pengasin, and Nupeng embark on strike. They stopped supplying petroleum products to Dangote. And now said, okay, these people, he can no longer consider them in Dangote refinery, but rather he will send them to their various to his other conglomerate, either sugar or cement, something, or if they like, let them stay in the house, we pay their salary for the next 5 years. So these are the things. So we simply mean that Dangote, to a large extent, has really been of tremendous help. So the government now should now go into collaboration with him, identifying the stations it's actually supplying to, because it can monitor them very, very well. Because it's the one that will go and supply them. Your truck doesn't need to come and load. No, like how it was being done then. Because then, if you have a filling station, you can just send your truck down there to go and load. And when your truck is coming, you can divert it to my own filling station that has not been able to sell for months or for years. Because you know that once you get to your own filling station, you understand, you cannot perpetrate some crimes there. So you now have to send to my own filling station that is not under the radar of government touch or Dangote watch. So I cannot begin to sell at exorbitant price, exploiting the people. So I think it is now time for the government, at least, like I said, some countries are beginning to put in place cushion measures, just to cushion the effect of this fuel on our citizens. So I think Nigerian government should call it look inward, making sure that they cushion the effect of this, because I don't see this problem going very soon. Say now like this we go this, is it look or what?
Talking about those cushion effect, I think Governor Sheyi Makinde has implemented a 10,000 naira transport support to subsidize a fair price for cars and buses. What do you think about that?
Well, to me, it's a very good move. It's a very,
and do you
very
think
good
everyone
move.
would have access to the 10,000 naira?
Well,
let it not be the case of maybe just civil servants.
Well, we should not deceive ourselves.
Okay.
It is for the civil servants. But like I said, at least it started from somewhere. If that doesn't work, if it's intentional and deliberate about it, if 10,000 doesn't work, then we will look for another alternative. Because civil servants are not the only ones that are bearing these bonds. Now, civil servants, either we like it or not, I must equally say this. It's not the civil servant that messed up the entire refineries. You should not deceive ourselves. That's why I've always been saying it, that government has no business in business. Everything just needs to be privatized. Because one thing is this civil servant that they are trying to give 10,000 naira, I can assure you, it's what we all know. We should not deceive ourselves. I have seen civil servant that what he has acquired is far more than his or take home. So I think Governor Sheyi Makinde, we should commend him for what he has started, but he should just try to look inward again. How do I mean? If possible, look for some mega stations in various local governments. Where this thing is very, very simple, honestly. Whereby, okay, you know the amount of stations on persons there. You see, I'm trying to say this again. With a drone, if you know the stations in various local governments, you can use your drone. You see, the fact that a drone is right there on one's head in your station, you are seeing it yourself. You cannot even, because the drone can come in at any point in time, and start monitoring. You don't need to start putting in task force. No, you can be in the comfort of your office and be monitoring all these things. The drone will go there, we look at it, it will right there from where it is, it will zoom the price something, and if you see it, it can be done. So to me, in as much as 10,000 is good, because I know that it's only limited to civil servants. What about the market women? What about the bricklayers? What about the carpenters? What about the social workers and what have you? how is it going to cushion their own effect as well? So to me, I think the government should just try to look for mega stations that you can go there, measure the quantity of fuel that's in their tank, and subsidize on it. That is how it can cut across board. You know, I'm trying to say this. Monetary benefit has always been a major problem in this country. There was a time an uncle of mine called me. He said he's having issue with his mother. I said, what's the problem? He said his mother said he's going to vote for so person. I said, let her vote now. Is that right? Is that an enable right? He said that's not even the issue. That his mother is a retired principal. That is sending money to her. Is sending money to her. But because the governor that is there now refuses to give retirees 5,000 naira, like he said he's going to vote for the other governor. And that's why now ask the mommy that, mommy, I don't need 5,000 naira. The mother said, right, I told me on phone. The man now said that, what if that governor had been wise enough to build hospital facilities for the aged? So if you are of this age, you can go there for free medical attention rather than giving them money. So we simply mean that this 10,000 naira, it will go a long way only in the area of the civil servants. What about those that are not civil servants? And we, as we all know, civil servants, what about those that have to work, that the level of the work that you do, that will determine the money you are having? So, in as much as I commend him, but if you can just look inward, that money, let him look for mega filling stations within the various local governments and pay. Let people go and buy fuel there. And maybe you can just tell them, okay, don't sell more than this liter. Maybe when your tank is full, that's at the level of the keg, maybe 10 liters keg, not 50 liters. No. And like I said, with a drone, you can monitor the entire Oyo State. With a drone. And the very minute they don't know when the drone will come, you know, everybody has to be very careful. Everybody be up and doing. So this is very, very simple. So to me, I commend the governor, but of course, other governors too should equally copy from what Oyo State governor has done. But of course, it is not by maybe only civil servants. No, they should look for better means of making sure that this something spread, not just limited to civil servants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Talking about looking at better ways to make it spread, the program is still Political Perspective on your darling station, IPA 102.7 FM. And today we're looking at a cushion effect of the price of the fuel price on the citizens of Nigeria, and of course how we can live through it as one. Yes, and of course still talking about which of these long-lasting measures do you think is very visible when it comes to sorting these kind of issues? Is it the investment in alternative energy such as solar, wind, or biomass, or the strengthening domestic refineries to reduce import dependency, or the fuel price stabilization fund to manage sudden hikes? Which of these measures do you think works well or can align well with Nigeria? Is it encouraging local production to reduce transport costs? Which of them do you think would work well? Which of them is doable, practicable in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Number one, if you're talking about investing in alternative energy, that is solar.
Yes.
I can assure you a lot of Nigerians have already done that. But that is quite different from transportation.
Yeah.
Solar is just limited. You understand? We are not having an electric vehicle in Nigeria. How do we have an electric vehicle now? And again, where is the light? How you go to charge it? You understand? How you go to charge it? Where is the light now? These are the issues. So a lot of Nigerians have invested heavily in solar. As at yesterday, a friend of mine, after he has bought fuel, ever since the problem started, he said he used to use fuel of 35,000 every day. He had to choice than to go and buy solar worth 5 million yesterday. We are there together. He went there, we did everything together. 5 million naira yesterday. It's because he has mothers that can afford 5 million naira. But trust Nigeria. There are so many solar products. If I'm not mistaken, Nigeria is the headquarter of solar sales. Because hardly you get some streets, there is a resist, and there is none. Everybody now has small lights. They just want to see light. But it's quite different. You see, maybe that can reduce the issue of maybe generator. You know when you see that and what have you. But what about the gas to put in your something to cook? What about kerosene to put in your stove to cook? So you understand, these are the things. So the issue of solar, wind, or
of
biomass of the thing, to me, is out of it, because we are already doing that for ourselves.
Okay.
It's only Nigeria that we are doing virtually everything for ourselves. Road, community, we don't to come together to fix the road. Community is the one that we will build in individual houses now. We now have well. In fact, virtually, do you know there was a time concerning this issue of electricity. There was a time that Adam Toshomole himself came on there and said that if a particular area said they needed transformer, he gave the transformer. They now called me that, sir, what about the fixing? I said, that's no problem. He now called on NEPA. The transformer is so please go and fix it. Senator Adam Toshomole said he bought virtually everything that they used in fixing that transformer. He said that the now brought bills again to those people that are using it. And I said, you didn't, he said they didn't put one single thing on ground. He bought every materials, every equipment needed to start that transformer. NEPA will not come in and start collecting money. Is that how MTN, Airtel, or sorry, is that how they operate? No. They are the one that prepares, that fixes their various stations, workstations. But in the case of NEPA, the reverse is the case. So the issue of solar does not fly here. Now you talk about maybe
strengthening domestic refinery.
Strengthening domestic refinery. Look, it is the no-go area. Which refinery? Do you know the billions of dollars that have been invested in that refinery?
Okay, now because of our time, let's just speak about.
You understand? These are the things.
If that would not work, what about fuel price stabilization to fund manage sudden hike?
That is what I said the other time.
Yes, I know.
Now the government, that was why as long as I try to appreciate Governor Makinde, I probably said he would have embarked on making sure, look for mega stations, reputable filling stations. We have them around. Go there and subsidize for their products and give them a standard. Don't say if the tank is filled, no problem. Now after that, okay, keg, 10 liters. There's no 25 liters, nothing, no yellow keg, just 10 liters alone. Do you understand? And subsidize it and have a drone mounted up there. If you can have a drone, thank God the UK government just gave us about 20 drones, or how many drones just came in now. So this thing can be distributed to various states. Let us have these drones to monitor these things. Drone can be used for so many things. It's to gather information. It's to monitor. By the time you tell people that you are saying, by the time you see a drone, that even if you know that that drone can come at any time, you yourself, you won't misbehave. As in the petroleum operator, the filtration operator, they won't misbehave. And you sign into agreement with them. If I should get you, send this fuel at the price I never budget, we never agreed upon, I will charge you to court. Everybody will couple. Nigeria need iron fists, particularly to cushion this effect. So to me, the idea of fuel price stabilization and fund to manage sudden hike is the most important. It goes not this issue of 10,000 naira.
What about encouraging local production to reduce transport costs?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the only local production that's going on now is Dangote Refinery.
Yeah.
So and thank God, Dangote Refinery is, by the time it supplies some stations directly. As I speak with you, those stations are still selling for 1,341 naira. I still bought there yesterday.
So that's a plus.
It's a plus compared to these so-called independent marketers that are not selling for 1,450. You understand? So I think what should now happen is that we should encourage Dangote the more. And how do we do that? Now this guy is going about sourcing for this crude. In as much as he's doing that, let him go source for his crude, and let the government go. The best way you can encourage Dangote now is to go and subsidize with him directly. Yes, subsidize with him directly. For now, let us put aside these independent marketers, because their own is to make unprecedented. They want to become Dangote overnight, and they never know where Dangote started from, because they cannot see that they are not giving him problem. So to me, I think the idea of encouraging local production, which is, let me say, Dangote Refinery, that's the one that is functioning now, and some other modular refineries. There are some as well, you understand, reputable ones. So all these people should be, and it cut across board. Dangote is in Southwest. There is one in South, is a modular refinery. Bua is equally doing one in Cross River, and stuff like that. They are modular refineries. So let us encourage them, and let us make sure that crude is available. If Nigeria has the means of paying off the debt that we borrow with our crude, I mean, so be it, so that you can be pumping for Dangote the exact crude it needs to actually produce petroleum product Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Of course, to reach us with your contributions and comments on today's topic, talking about the rising in fuel price and the cushion effects the government can put in place for citizens in Nigeria. You can reach us on 081-655-24699. 081-655-24699. Now, the question is simple. How has the fuel price hike affected your daily life? Yes, which government support which government support would help you the most? Talking about the Oyo State are now subscribing to 10,000 naira, which of course we are very much aware that would not get to everybody. So which of the government support would help you most? And of course, how has it been on your end? Talking about the hike in the fuel price, how has surviving been for you? Is 08165524699. Also, do you think the Nigerian is doing enough to reduce the reliance on imported fuel and diversifying energy sources? Yes, 08165524699. Yes, I'm glad to have you back. The program is Political Perspective on your darling station, IPA 102.7 FM. And of course, in the studios this beautiful morning, I have with me Akin Adebayo. And we've been talking on the increase in fuel price and, of course, the effect it has on citizens. Yes, and what the government can do to ensure that at least the burden is minimal on an average Nigerian. I'm talking about task and policy incentive. And now, what do you have to say now? Taking the task and policy incentive to this very pressing issue, what do you have to say about it?
Thank you very, very much. Actually, now is not is that the Minister for Finance State. I'm talking about what this man's name. I've forgotten his name. He's not the Minister for Finance State. He has actually came out to discuss, to explain, to expatiate, or to expatiate, as the case may be, more on the issue of the tax reform.
Okay.
But of course, with what is going on now, there's nothing that cannot be reviewed. If it thinks that maybe that tax something now is going to take a terrible toll, I think some content can be, can be relaxed. It can be reviewed, because you cannot expect people to be paying from two sides of their nose. It won't be convenient. By the time you are battling with the issue of transporting ourselves, feeding and what have you, you now say you want to come up with give some obnoxious tax, as the case may be. Then I think, like I said, some countries, I have their list here, that begin to prone down all some of this government policy that they want to believe would no doubt take a kind of terrible effect on our citizens. So tax is equally involved. Like for instance, now there are some countries that they stop tax, maybe I think maybe Belgium or whatever. They stop tax now on food, just to cushion the effect as well. So there are so many ways by which government can put in place policies just to cushion this effect on our citizens. Okay, for instance, now the issue of this VAT or level essential or non-essential goods. What constitutes essential goods? Essential goods, if I'm not mistaken, important. You don't know the meaning. Yes. Essential, important. That's another word for it. There's synonym for it. Maybe food. Now beer is not essential. So, but anything that's consumables, food, groceries, tax can be reduced on these things. So to me, I think that is another way by which government can just go about implementing it.
What about the subsidies and incentive for farmers? These days, coupled with the level of insecurity we now have, that makes people want to run away from the farm. Now, talking about the incentive for farmers and small businesses to prevent food price from inflating, do you think there are measures that can be put in place as incentive for farmers?
You should not deceive yourself. I think one of the major incidents that the European American countries have actually brought to a check completely is the issue of food. You may not have roof over your head, but you will have food to eat. It's because they're putting in place these measures long time ago, and they are now beginning to see the dividend. It's not just start now. They've been receiving the dividend years back. But in Nigeria, unfortunately, when it comes to issue of farmers, you'll be amazed that in Nigeria, our own farmers, excuse me, our own farmers are farmers that are on tie, farmers wearing suits. Our farmers are farmers that their office is filled with AC, CCTV, and what have you, enjoying themselves. What kind of farmer is that? They will tell you mechanized farming. Are we not seeing mechanized farming in other countries? Is that how mechanized farming is being done? No, it's unfortunate. So even though you want to put in place these incentives and what have you for farmers, will it get to the right farmers? That's the question. This system is just terribly corrupt. There's nothing we don't abuse in this country. I can assure you, if really the government is deliberate about it, like I said, we have so many farm settlements. Let them go there and monitor these things. It is not you giving farm incentives, and most of the time they will even still convert this incentive to monetary incentive. How can you as a governor or as a commissioner for agriculture and what have you, how can you be giving your friend that is not a farmer, your friend that putting on tie, that is a banker, or we come and claim incentive and give it to him or her? So if our government actually deliberate and intentional about it, giving incentives to farmers will go a long way in cushioning the effect of price inflation. But will the incentives get to the farmers? We've seen instances whereby federal government to get incentives, and these incentives were during the COVID era. Do you know that I know some people that ordered what government said they should share to people, and they ordered it and spent it and used it as birthday gift. And these are not enough persons. I'm talking about people that matters in society. I think that was said that they found maybe Nigerian indomie that was produced in Nigeria, meant for that was having COVID Nigeria on it. They found maybe in Ghana. How did it get there? Nigerian indomie for COVID-19 indomie in Nigeria found in Ghana. These are the things. So incentives, as good as incentives might be, that goes across all border or all sectors, will it get to the right person? Should I shock you? The 10,000 Shey Makinde wants to give civil servants. I can assure you, some big men in that same system, maybe PS or directors, they will still corner it. We are in this country where Mena Pencom chairman, embezzle the money of pensioners. Is that not wickedness of the highest order? Pensioners, people that have served this country meritoriously, either genuinely or counterfeit, as the case may be, is immaterial. But now they're retired. And someone that is still in the ministry embezzled the money running into billions of naira. And when he was about to be arrested some months back, he collapsed in his office. You can imagine. He collapsed. Right here in this Nigeria, I've seen an instance whereby someone that was caught for corruption was taken to the court. And he was pretending as if he was going to die in the court. He never knew that there was CCTV in his room, in the hotel room, when he went back there. He saw the same person. Immediately he entered his hotel room. He removed it and started praying. And he now become healthy. And you'll be amazed that these are set of people you will see observing 5 times prayer in a day. This set of people you will see going to one of vigil and mountains. We've seen them there praying from one mountain to the other. And you see them doing something different back in the office. So I don't know. So incentive would have gone a long way in cushioning the effect of food price inflation. Okay. But the question is this: will the incentives get to the real farmers?
Can government communication strategy to educate citizens also bring about a relief measure? Can we start educating ourselves? And what kind of education, please, very quickly, what kind of education would the government do when in terms of communicating these realities to citizens?
In Ondo State, Nigeria, Ondo State, where I find ourselves.
Okay.
We are having nothing less than 20-something radio stations.
Okay.
What I'm discussing with you, I can assure you, some stations would have discussed it maybe earlier today, or maybe yesterday, or last week.
Even later today.
Even some are discussing it now, as we are discussing it now. Some will still discuss it later. So, my dear, we've done more than enough education. What we need now is implementation. Look, the government is deliberate. If the government is deliberate about doing some things, they will do it. But by the time we allow politics to eat so much into our thinking, into our fabric, into our mentality, into our ideology, that is when we begin to see issues like this. That is where you begin to hear rhetorics. That's where you begin to hear semantics. on radio and TV stations, saying all manner of gibberish, making all manner of promises. We've done more than enough education. What we are doing right now is education. Can the government pick from? That is why at times I don't know our leaders. If you are deliberate about it, to me personally, I'm saying this: if a governor really wants to work, you can decide to be listening to some radios. You will hear some you will fact check. That's where you will tell you the truth. Some of those your essays, your PS, PA to the PA, SA to the SSA, or stuff like that. Most of them are psychopaths. You should not deceive yourself. They will always tell you. There was a day I stumbled on a governor's newspaper. Right there in the front cover, they will tell you the page to read. Should read it as worst as that? No. Even if you can't read the newspaper, get a transistor radio. Listen. You as a governor, because everything will be attributed to your administration, not your commissioner, not your essays, not your SSAs, not your PS. It will be attributed to you. So you should know that you are the one sitting on the keg of gunpowder. Don't let it explode on your buttocks. So we've done enough education. If the government is deliberate about it, the governor in particular, as the case may be for the state, chairman of local government, as the case may be for local government, and president. Do you know that if we should install the governor here now, I can say before we leave this studio, we'll be arrested. How did he hear? So the energy those people are investing in looking for anybody that install the governor, why can't they invest the same energy in gathering information that will help the governor's administration? But they won't do it. Rather, they will look for people that look. We've done enough education. Implementation is what the government should do, and the government should be deliberate about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, King Adebayo. And of course, I must say it's been an honor having you with us in the studios this beautiful morning.
It's a pleasure.
And of course, I hope our message is gotten where it should get to. And of course, and I'm very sure also that necessary reforms will be done as regards what we've talked about today, talking about the price of fuel and the cushion effect the government can actually put in place to help we the citizens to at least live beyond live above average, if at all. So yes, of course, I want to say a big thank you again, Mr. Akin Adebayo, for coming on the program. Thank you very much for always honoring our invites to come on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, I hope, like I always say, I hope when we call upon you again, and you would always, do us the honor of coming on the program.
Of course, I have no choice. I must be here.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, the program is Political Perspective, and of course, we've been talking about the price, the hike in price, talking about the fuel price, and of course, the cushion effect the government can put in place to ensure that life is better for the ordinary persons. So, as we wrap up today's discussion, remember, fuel price hike affects every part of our lives, but there are ways to actually cushion the impact, which includes the immediate relief like the targeted subsidies and of course cash transfers. They help on citizens today, and while the long-term solutions can also range from the alternative energy, we have the domestic refining, and of course we have policy reforms to ensure stable tomorrow. Citizens must also take actions such as adopting energy saving practices, yes, are staying informed about government policies, and of course hold leaders accountable. We should learn to hold our leaders accountable. And yes, until we come your way again, same time, same station. And many thanks to everyone that's worked with us today. And most importantly, our guest on the show, Akin Adebayo, of course, the general manager, Engineer Paul Olotu. Thank you very much, sir, to the head of programs, and your Federation to Olurotimi Elijah. Thank you very much to the head of news Alaba Adeyemi, to everyone, of course, to the studio manager, to the ICT, the engineers, everyone that's worked together to ensure that this program is a success. And yes, I am Florence Ibhareman. This has been Political Perspective. I'm imploring you to stay empowered, stay engaged, and remember your voice and your choice matters in shaping politics as they affect our daily lives. Thank you very much for being a part of my world this beautiful morning. Until we come your way again, same time, same station, do well to please keep it locked on iPower 102.7 FM as we have a list of endless educative, entertaining, informative, and educative programs for your listening pleasure. Do have a beautiful morning.